Dear boomers, I want to make a correction in something I said yesterday as I'm telling stories about the baby boomer hippie days. I had said that we were living on a park, and I said DeBose Park, but really we lived in Potomac Park and would regularly go up the hill to visit DeBose Park, way up the hill. And it was a wonderful time of rest after a traumatic trip where we were busted, as I said. We got out alive, and here we were in San Francisco. Had no money, but we were living for free. There were two landlords who said that they owned this place, so we decided not to pay anybody any rent, and we didn't have any money anyway. So I wanted to talk about the winos of Potomac Park. I loved them. They were always telling stories and laughing and drinking wine. They were very interesting people in the sense that they seemed to have found a certain modicum of calmness and peace. And of course, they were alcoholics. I hope they got some help. And in the meantime, I would take, and I mentioned my dog Alfie, take her to many, and all the dogs. All of us took these dogs for long, long walks. They were not on leads. I would never do that now. Mainly because I get tired of dogs being killed before my eyes. So, I took Alfie to the Golden Gate Park one day, and it's such a beautiful park, all the old eucalyptus trees and all the big roots and everything. So I was enjoying my time with this dog when suddenly she got hit by a car. And I was like, okay, get my act together here, bring myself to an awareness of peace. And I stood over her and just tried to see if anything was broken. Didn't seem to be, but I was worried about internal injuries. When a guy stopped, he wasn't the one who hit us or hit her, but he stopped and offered to take myself and the dog to my house. So, to our apartment, to our house actually. So he picked us up and we carefully wrapped her in a blanket. He said I could keep the blanket, wrapped her up and took her home. Perhaps to die, or that was the first time in my life that I can remember. I'm sure there were other times where I instituted whatever I could think of to heal this dog. And I knew that she had a will to live, but I think she had some internal injuries. Nothing that seemed she wasn't peeing or pooping blood, but she seemed to be, on her way out. So, constantly sat with her, prayed with her, stroked her, loved her, sent love and love to her. I got her some steaks, fed her steak every day. And then I'll never forget the day that she hopped up and she was fine. There were several other dog opportunities for healing that came to me after my hippie days. I had a dog named Ulysses that I loved deeply. He was a golden retriever. This was when Tom and I, my husband Tom, moved to a farm in not in the southern Lancaster County where the Commune was, but it was going out of town, heading towards the south, where this dog was my pride and joy. I loved him very much, and he loved me. Took him to the vets one day for a regular checkup, and the vet found that my dog Ulysses had cancer of the penis. Very rare. He had never seen it before, and he had been a vet for many, many years. And he was on his way out. He was about to retire, but he said that he would take care of Ulysses. Then as life went on, not too long after that, I noticed he was bleeding from the penis. And So that was very alarming to me. I thought, oh my God, this is the end. I called my vet. His name was Frank. I said, Frank, he's bleeding. He goes, okay, I have some herb here called Union Bayan. It's a Chinese herb. He said it was originally used by the Vietnamese in the war, the Vietnam War, when these soldiers, Vietnamese soldiers, were shot, and instead of just bleeding out, they would use this herb and it would stop bleeding. And I thought to myself, well, maybe that's why we lost the Vietnam War. So I jumped in my car and I drove over to Frank's and got this herb and gave it to Ulysses, and he immediately recovered. I mean, he stopped bleeding. Now, he had cancer, but he stopped bleeding. Then Frank, after Ulysses' red blood cells came up again, he was not anemic. He did a surgery on that dog to reroute his urinary situation. I guess it was a sex change and he became a girl. I love it. So, little Ulysses lived another 9 months, and we would swim. And it reminded me of taking care of Alfie after she was hit by the car. There was such a wonderful feeling of healing, being in the moment, not concentrating on outcome, but living in the moment of a healing situation where we would swim from the farmhouse up to these beautiful rocks. And I'll never forget, he wasn't, I could tell he was on his way out again after about 8-9 months. He jumped into the river and swam with me up to the rock. And as I was going like this, he would go, I'd hear, that dear little boy. And he did die in my arms not too long after that. And they love us so much. There's no doubt that their love for us supersedes any love that we can have for anything. They love us more than we love anybody. So then I have a dog now. Not Massa. Massa was one, 2 days ago. He's still in good health and thriving. I have another dog named Pearl, who around the time I got Massa in August of last year, she was failing, and she couldn't get up. She was actually became despondent. As soon as I got Massa, she started to lighten up a little bit. Then I took her to the vet, and I thought, well, okay, so she's not really ready to die. So I took her to the vet, and she prescribed glucosamine shots, 2 shots a week for a month, and then 1 shot once a month forever until she decides to depart again. Now, anybody out there, glucosamine shots, if your dog is having hip problems, towards the end of life, and you think you have to put this dog down, try the glucosamine shots before you make that decision. It really, and also the puppy. I mean, she and the puppy by now, and it's not been quite a year. The 2 of them are very close. He especially loves her, and she is begrudgingly learning to love him. So sweet, so sweet. Also, I give her a pain pill, 2 pills twice a day. Now, another thing I do is give her a bone stuffed with organic 93% fat-free meat, and I mix in rose hips, all kinds of different things, turkey tail, mushrooms. I also decided to add collagen just recently, because collagen helps my hips. I'm thinking, well, okay, collagen. Oh, olive oil goes into this meat mixture. Different. Let me think. Yeah, the mushrooms. Different powders that are known to be cancer prevention, and also powders that reduce the lumps, that she does have some lumps. And she's doing, like, now we live here in this house. I don't do much but do this, take them for walks, and she comes in and out of the house she'll jump off the porch and go run with the dog or the other dog, Maso, to, look at a squirrel or a rabbit, and she'll come bounding back. So she's getting better and better as these herbs that I'm giving her are helping. And may I also add that there are other Chinese herbs that one was called, the one I was just talking about that stopped Ulysses' bleeding is called Yunyan Bayan. And there are numerous other herbs that stop bleeding. I've always thought, well, maybe we should have used some of these, or maybe they could be used in gynecological situations where women are bleeding to the point, waiting for surgery to have a hysterectomy, where they could be taking these herbs to help their red blood cell count. Here are some. There's one called Noto Ginseng Sanquai, and that's a most potent herb for stopping bleeding and is often used in trauma. Another one is Daze, used for various types of bleeding, such as from ulcers or wounds. Cephalanoplos, it's called Zaiji. Similar to Daji, it's used for cooling the blood, which in turn stops the bleeding. Pu Hang, often used in combination with other herbs to enhance its blood-stopping properties. Imperata root, they call it Ba Mao Zhan, typically used for nosebleeds and bleeding in the urine. Quan Ke Gen, or rubia, used to cool the blood and stop the bleeding, often in the case of traumatic injuries. And mugwort leaf, is used to stop bleeding and warm the uterus, which can help with excessive menstrual bleeding. Anybody out there with heavy menstrual bleeding, sounds like you could make a poultice and place it as a way to calm some of those menstrual cramps. I know that I had those. I wish I had known about that. And so the dogs. There's so many other dog stories, but those three stand out with my interest in healing. Started with these dogs on the commune, before the commune. But mainly, the healing of these dogs is what started me even to think about being a nurse, to think about changing my life. Dogs love us more than we have ever loved anything else in our lives. Please subscribe to my channel. I should have said that before. Love to you all. Bye-bye.